part of that budgeting discussion, and also as we look forward, to our next budget process, how we can make, more use of the strategic plan and whatever we can learn and improve on.
Well, good morning. Let me offer a couple of comments and things that perhaps even the public is not aware of. Strategic plans sometimes get a bad rep as being a tad too abstract and maybe not very relevant. And we have this strategic plan is not like that because it's really a strategic operational plan. It's based on the specific things that our close to 30 departments do. And we ask them to say what their goals are for any period of time, what then are the activities, essential activities that support those goals. And then in this year's budget process, for the first time, we asked departments if they asked for additional resources. We actually had a form for them to fill out where they identify, among other things, where in the strategic plan this particular request they are making fits in. Department submitted 122 of those individual requests. In addition, earlier in the year, we asked departments to identify, kind of partially, but identify what we call current service levels. That is, my favorite example was foster care. How many foster care families are we supporting, or do we think we will support for the current year? And if you ask for an increase, does it change that? And the idea behind that, of course, is kind of obvious. One of the things we have discovered is that for many of the requests, when we asked departments to do that, they said no change in the current service levels. It's simply a price change. And how could that be? I think the example that most of us know about has to do with preschool and early childhood education in the health department. And literally, the problem is we are required to transport students, and there isn't a lot of competition in the local area. And so we generally have only one or a few firms, if any, that compete, and they got us that way, and multiply that across the whole, frankly, the whole county budget. This rising increase in dollars is not unique to us. I should pick a better example. It's not unique to us, and it's across pretty much most departments. But it's important for us to focus on that, not so much to learn how to be helpless, but to see if we can find ways to address that price. Now, these are big changes in the way county government operates. And I would say, looking at this past year, we haven't been wholly and completely successful in two ways. One, the activities and the objectives that departments wrote were sometimes a little too strategic planning-y. That is, they were a little too abstract. We will deliver justice. or, you know, Otsego County will be the best place to live in the world or stuff like that. And I think we need to get more specific the second go round. The second area where we need to improve on is on the current service levels. We only ask folks to identify one current service level per strategic goal or objective. Not all of them were able to comply. And many of them did things that aren't really service levels. They are things like, oh, I don't know. We will get these contracts in place by June 30th in order to provide, I don't know, I'm making this up, meals for seniors. That's an important thing to keep track of. The board will want that status. But really, the CSL is how many seniors are you buying meals for? This is certainly going to become really important, possibly in a few days, when SNAP benefits from the federal government may very well be cut off. So we need to improve on those things. And I think the way to do that is before next time's budget process. What we're ultimately trying to get to, and we're sort of close, is how much resources do we spend to deliver programs, be they mandated or otherwise, right? For instance, I'm just going to pick on DSS because it's the biggest, and I don't really mean to pick on them because I think they're a very good department, but maybe how many clerk typists support their caseworkers? Is there a way to get at that to reduce the administrative costs to support the caseworkers who support the people who get those benefits? You could apply that on the other extreme to the sheriff's department, right? What of the support, and pick on the sheriff's department because it's almost entirely local costs, right? How efficient are their operations? And once we have these CSLs, we can start to compare the differences among departments. And that, I think, will allow the board in their parent committee meetings to start engaging with the departments on those things. So we're not there yet. We're building it. And that's my sense, at least, of how the strategic plan and the current service levels fit in with the budget. I actually, forgive me, I forgot the most important thing. Duh. Right? The most important thing is the strategic plan should be written in a way so the public can make sense of it. It shouldn't be bureaucratic language. It shouldn't be obscure language. It should be right out there. This is what our Office for the Aging does. This is what our treasurer's office does. These are the three things that the Office of the County Administrator does. And we put that online in an accessible way through the software that we've talked about. And we ultimately will be able to relate that to dollars. We've got a bunch of back office work to do to get there. Maybe by the 27 budget, we'll be able to do that. So that's my sense of, does that make sense? Is that kind of what we were trying to do? I mean, Andrew, it was more than 3 years ago when I sat in this very room as a interview for the county administrator job, and you harassed the heck out of me about strategic planning. Is this what you had in mind?
Yeah, no, well, I think, we've come a long way. I mean, our original document, you know, I don't think it wasn't manageable or even, I mean, you couldn't view it like we can with ClearPlan. I mean, that's a huge difference right there. And that the departments are actually, whatever engagement we're getting, I mean, that's a work in progress, but that they're actually inputting information in and they own it. I mean, I think our previous plan and all the information in there, they didn't feel like they had ownership. It was very abstract, big picture. We're gonna, build more housing and improve water sewer districts. I mean,
Right.
things that we really are, are a partner in, but not, it's not quantifiable for us really and our departments did not feel connected to it. This is, I think, it's a complete flip of what we had before, and I think I think we're seeing departments definitely engage and take ownership, like our with Heidi in Department of Health, saying, that she actually, and I haven't looked in Clear Plan, to kind of see, but I'm assuming that she's saying I'm identifying my mandated services.
Mhm.
So I don't, did anyone happen to look in Clear Plan just to see how she did that? I think
Are you referring to that email she sent
yes,
out
that she
recently?
just sent us. Yeah, that
Yes, I haven't
I
tracked that yet.
yeah, I want to, I think that's our something that we all should, take a look at and I think it's an interesting approach. I think it's definitely something that the board continues to ask about what's mandated, what's not mandated. If our department heads are better identifying that in the strategic plan, that helps us, but it also helps, to your point, to the general public. It
Right.
gives transparency. It shows them what, county government has to absolutely provide and what we may not have to provide. And so, I feel like, this taking our planning document, we got buy-in from all the department heads. I think, they feel a sense of ownership and putting in clear plan makes it an actual living, breathing document. I feel like that was always a piece of the puzzle that was missing. That platform that helps us manage it and implement the plan. I think that I mean, there was a million ways this could have come out differently, but I think that where we're at, the fact that we already had our department heads updating their goals from 25 to
Mhm.
looking forward to 26. I mean, that shows that they are, they value that document and they understand the importance, to us and to hopefully, to their department.
I think we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that it's work.
It's additional work. Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
additional work, and I think a lot of folks were hoping that would not be the case for this and actually for the budget process. In fact, I think everyone is coming after a week and a half of parent committee meetings on the budget. I think everyone wishes all of this was not as demanding as it is. But
Yeah, I mean, maybe, that's maybe there's how do you, I wonder if there's a way we can better incentivize, not, I mean, I don't think we can pay people to enter stuff into the, to clear plan, but, maybe there's a way that we can better recognize, people that are doing it and support them, and maybe there's a fun way of doing that or other ways of saying thank you for that extra work.
We could probably get more engagement if we created a dunk tank with at least you, but certainly me.
A dunk tank, yes. Can we start with pizza first and then go to the dunk tank? I mean,
I'm good with that. We this is kind of an annual process. And so people don't do it all the time. They do updates, hopefully quarterly.
right, that's what we want to formalize.
And we'll be doing that. But my point is, each time we do this, we need to get everybody together and say what worked, what didn't work, and find ways to streamline that. Which I think we can, but it's gonna, with all this stuff, it takes a couple of cycles.
Yeah. I think one other thing too is just a side note that I don't know, did you end up talking to is it Bill from Otsego Freeman's Journal about the county strategic plan?
Yes.
Okay. Because there's going to be some kind of article that's going to come out. I don't know if it's Freeman's Journal or Otsego. I mean, obviously that hometown, Oneonta as well, but talking about, this kind of the way we've taken the plan and set it up on Clear Plan and that, the making it accessible to the general public. And now obviously it's live. And at some point it would, we'd probably want to, I'm assuming we should wait till that article and just see, do we see an uptick in engagement? Are people actually, going and looking at, because we haven't officially announced that the strategic plan is publicly accessible, through Clear Plan, and so that it's on the homepage. But.
I think you're gonna have. All right, look. Any way you look at it, this is not going to get the same type of clicks that.
No, that like yeah.
And the other thing is, I suspect people aren't particularly going to look at the strategic plan or the budget documents until they get worked up about it.
Right.
That's going to be the issue when the taxes go up or suddenly, their neighbor who was, maybe just getting by with food stamps or can't get access. And I think we're in for a period where people are going to be concerned about all of those issues. I'm referring not just to the federal things, although that's probably going to get a lot of attention here in the next day or two, next few weeks, but also county government's been kind of boring and quiet for a long time. We've been able to manage the costs, for the most part, fine. But as we learned in that recent presentation about costs in rural counties elsewhere, we're in a new area where we're going to have to deal with those rising costs, and whether that means raising taxes, cutting programs, that's going to be complicated and difficult to explain to the public, and the public, I think, will be eager for that. So I don't know that we can check the clicks right now in any way that is relevant. I worked for many years in public TV at a local public television station in Rochester, New York. And I remember when we finally found out we finally showed up on the Nielsen's rating. There was at least one person who admitted to watching public TV
Nice.
in Rochester, New York back in the day. So
Then you're.
I think-
time.
public TV is probably beating us right now
Yeah.
in Otsego County.
Yeah,
But I think that's-
our YouTube channel.
But we might get there.
Yeah, I think you know we have to obviously make people aware and promote clear plan, but that's you know that's going to be a work in progress, and
Right.
I think obviously on Wednesday, I know you're planning to do a budget overview of some
Yes.
sort, and so I think that will I think the piece that's always been missing is that operational, that
Yeah.
not that the strategic plan is operational details, but I mean it is a lot. It illustrates what our departments do in a way that I think people it hasn't been captured, and presented in a way that people can search it easily and really get in the weeds, so.
Right, if they're interested. Yeah, I'm certainly gonna try to do that.
Yeah, so now they can look at the budget information or hear more about the way the budget's being hashed out, and they can go look at Clear Plan and see the departments.
If it all works, if, let me phrase this another way, if we get it all done, I will do a presentation on Wednesday, broad strokes. And then by the weekend, we should, I hope, have clear gov budget book up, which will have the financial details and also make reference to the strategic plan.
Yeah, so I think as we finish the budget process, I think some of the things that our department heads have been doing with the strategic plan and the quarterly updates will be, at some point I think it would be good to kind of say to everyone, hey, here's an example. Heidi's identifying mandated services. I mean, if there's some of those takeaways that we'd like to highlight and say to department heads, hey, maybe think about doing, some of this with your own information, or, we could wait till the budget's done, obviously, but,
Thank
um,
you.
but it's, these are good follow-ups for us.
And I think we will want to follow up. The key is to have our budget staff, which knows the type of language and the standards, if you will, for CSLs, to get in early with the departments and capture what they think is important, but also
Yeah, better right.
to get them to actually engage in this harder level, right? Our department heads are supremely knowledgeable about most of them, about their particular bailiwicks. And it's every strategic plan, every type of performance measure thing I've done for the past 40 years or been involved in. Departments kind of just sort of naturally resist until they learn how to, if you will, manipulate the system. That puts too sinister a view on it, that language, but they have to be convinced that this is a good way to tell their story.
Right.
And we need to help them to do that.
Yeah,
So.
I think I think the current service level is you know, I, I'm sure there's some hesitation, you know, I mean, for them, you know,
Right.
because they might feel pendant, you know, like, oh, if I say you know, this is my current service level, then, you know, what now are they going to hold me to that? I mean, you know, I think we just need to be clear. These are guidelines, not, you know, it's not written in stone, obviously.
I, I mean, my sense right now is if a department head came and say, I thought we were gonna, pave 27 miles or whatever this year, and we only paved 20.
Yeah,
I think a department head feels like, and I'm thinking about one in particular who has that responsibility, expects to be questioned about that. Um, and I think he'll be able to explain it in ways that people
right.
understand. Paving, for instance, is highly dependent on the weather.
Yep. Yeah.
But the concern is the public. There's always going to be some individual who misinterprets that. And while we may get why that doesn't mean that department head is an idiot, there might be somebody out in the public who raises a stink about it. And will the board defend that department head? That's the fear of every bureaucrat, I think. You know, don't don't look at me to be a risk taker because I can get fired at the drop of a hat. And we all know of unfair firings or disciplines that have happened, not necessarily here, but just in a lot of places. So that's the kind of baseline fear that will sort of, mean we'll have to not just incentivize, but I think frankly insist.
Mm. Yeah, well, and I mean they're definitely going to need hand holding some of them. So
I would say roughly, I think about 2/3 of the 30 departments
mhm.
doing fine and actually like this
Yeah,
this
well, that's
process.
good.
I think the other third is a few big offices, but I think mostly it's the little offices who like, I can barely do what I do, and then it becomes a situation, what help can we provide them? And I think we can help a lot. There's a few of these for smaller offices that I run. And it's nothing more than sitting down. Well, you have this all over your website. Is this what you do? Trying to do this in a way not to call out those particular departments.
Right.
Well, how about this? And I've got a gift for writing this kind of stuff that occasionally is known as BS. But there's a way. I mean, I did used to be a journalist, so I know how to communicate to the public. I can also communicate like a bureaucrat really, really effectively. Really, at least 7 or 8 syllable words if necessary. And you can write these for in this kind of document,
Mhm.
and it's a short. It doesn't take long to do.
Yeah, no, I think if it makes sense for you to sit down and do that for them.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to take for some of our department, which is fine.
Did a lot.
I bet. Yeah, no, that's I think that's important. I think that's definitely what your office should be doing. So. I think Dave's gotta take off, so we'll lose corn, but I think we'll just kind of wrap up.
That's fine.
It's pretty, a lot of work for some people that they're not used to doing, but apparently it's important. Once they get it done the first time, it'll be easier if they keep up with it.
It is. It is. It's remarkably easy once it's done. But we just need a little. I think a lot of folks don't necessarily believe their committees really want them to do that. So I think it requires some strong leadership from the board kind of collectively. I mean, the office of the county administrator is still new. Yeah, and I don't know one where people do what the county administrator does until the office has been in place at least a decade or more. So, short of a political leader put in there. So.
Yeah, I wonder at the board meeting next week if I wonder if we should pull up the plan again just briefly, and is it too early to like, just depending on what Heidi identified, maybe just to reinforce what Heidi said and
I think-
show that
I
Again,
think that's going to be overshadowed
by the
by the budget.
budget discussion.
Right. I would
Not the right time. Is that what
I
you're
don't
saying?
think it's the right
Yeah,
time.
That's what I was wondering. Yep.
That'll be before we get any public comment on the budget.
Mhm.
And probably the better time for ClearGov is in one of the December clear plans for one of the December meetings. Is to pull it up there and say, here's how you can find out about the budget,
Mhm.
right? Or this is what this budget
Right.
did.
You're saying not one of our actual board meetings.
Yes.
Not the hearing itself.
Right.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I
Although we could do it at the hearing, I suppose. But
well, I don't think you have the techno, or did we have a screen usually set up in the courtroom, don't we?
yeah,
Yeah.
the thing is, most of the time nobody shows up.
No,
for
I
this.
know. I know.
That could be different this year though. Let's see, like it's.
It could be.
County that had 200 people in the room and 200
Wow.
online. Cause they were
Right.
talking about raising their budget.
Yeah.
10 to 20%.
Yeah.
This year.
People are talking
It's
about
probably at that point, it's too late. I mean, at the budget hearing, I feel like it's too late to pull up clear plan. I mean, I
Right.
don't think it's gonna, I think pushing it in those December meetings makes more sense
Yeah.
before our actual budget hearing.
At the budget hearing, nobody's gonna care.
No, they're not gonna care about clear plan. No, they're just gonna care about
I
the,
mean, part of the reason is our budget meetings rarely ever very well advertised, so.
Right.
I mean, I haven't seen anything in the public.
yeah, I'm not,
face, in the newspaper or anything where.
Oh yeah,
Budget issues are being advertised.
right. Well, that's why I'm thinking that Steve's overview on Wednesday will kind of put people on notice, so.
Yeah.
Plus this article that,
Right.
Freeman's is doing, I don't know how much detail they're getting into.
he's spoken to a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm assuming he talked to Ed, Bill, I forget.
Ed, Allen,
I don't remember what
Me,
Bill's last name.
I
He's
think,
a newer reporter there. At,
I think it was Heidi or maybe
like William
Tammy Reed.
Bellin, Bellen, right?
Phil Bellin.
Bill Bellin, yeah. Yeah. So I'm not so I don't know how much the article will be about our financial challenges. I'm sure there's a piece to it, but his article is really more about our strategic plan and clear plan and, you know, making it more transparent and giving more information to the general public and, you know, so, but especially, you know, I think that driving piece to it also is during a difficult budget process. So, and if you talk to Alan, you know, I mean, I assume there would be some element of that, so. But anyway, yeah, thanks for coming, Dave.
Alrighty.
See you later.
So I think we'll go ahead and end the meeting. So I don't even think we need to make a motion because Dave is our lack of quorum. So, yeah,
Recording stopped.